Fragments of Silicon promises to never remove any of your digital trading cards.
All right, welcome to the season finale of Fragments of Silicon. Yes, indeed, another season has come and, well, mostly gone. Not technically over until we end this broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you get what I mean. Um, fret not. Season 24 will be along in a few weeks. These breaks are never too long.
Well, and we also
Um,
have things happening even on break. More on that later.
yeah. Anyway, so Galax, why don't you start us off this week?
Not too much going on this week. The weather is decreased to a reasonable temperature, particularly for the season. And let's see, this week is my work summer outing this Friday. Normally previously we've had those on Wednesdays, but they changed it to Friday and a little later in the year so that people, because you're supposed to be able to bring your families if you have them. And people said that it was hard to get their kids out of school on Wednesdays and stuff. So anyway, that's the main thing. I have just slightly started on the next model kit I'm building, and I have the pictures taken for the next one I'm going to post a thing of, but I haven't written the summaries yet. I'll probably try and do that like tonight.
Geekwax is driving me insane. More on that in a moment.
Uh-huh. Well, I warned you about that one.
I'm aware, but also fuck whoever designed this.
Uh-huh. So yeah, those are the main things I've been up to. Haven't actually done too much video game playing, but I am at approximately the final boss in Mina the Hollower and have made a little bit more progress in Super Robot Wars Y, and I will probably also be trying to play some more of that tonight.
Purchase anything in the Steam sale or?
Not much. I got the thing at the beginning was that they are removing the ability to earn Steam trading cards from Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Complete Edition on Steam. And the game was for sale for like $5, so I grabbed that.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you've not played Cyber Sleuth,
I have it on something else, but that's also literally less than I paid for lunch on Tuesday. So,
but it's definitely one of those games. If you have any interest in a good Digimon story, definitely pick up Cyber Sleuth.
just warning, it's grindy.
It is. The complete edition has fixed some of it though.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, I will concede, it is not the most friendly. It's not as friendly as Time Stranger is.
But yeah, I haven't done as much Steam buying because this past week I got my new box for the new Digimon set, and I got some good pulls. And this new set has a deck that I'm actually going to try and build because Ogre recommended it.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought another box, and I'm waiting for it to get here. So
when the simulators update, we may need to have a locals night on stream at some point.
Anyway, that's more. I haven't been spending money on video games because I've been spending it on other stuff. That is. Oh, and Pokemon Go is having like I think it's Go Fest this week or something. There's been a lot of interesting legendary raids, so that's been something that I've been doing in my spare time. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I've got.
So that would be my turn.
Hmm.
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess the biggest news for the week happened on Monday. I'm going to be having hemorrhoid surgery on July 23rd. Luckily, they were able to sneak me in on a cancellation so it won't affect the show. At least asterisk, it shouldn't. I should be up and moving around by the time we need to start doing show stuff. So there is that at least, because that was possibly a pain point, but it's not. So hooray! So yeah, I've been looking into getting various things for that. Like the donut and crap like that. I may see about getting a couple games for the Switch, not knowing how long, if I'm going to be like laid up for a couple days. Like if I'm not going to be wanting to move around, at least I'll be able to play the Switch. Because I don't think I have this stuff set up when I used to have the Steam Link set up downstairs way after my knee surgery. I don't think I have any of that still set up. So, and I don't know where like half of it is. I may try and look for it if I find time, but I'm not expecting to be laid up anywhere near as long how long as I was for my knee surgery. So I don't think I'm gonna need to worry about dealing with that. As far as like other things going on, the week had been mostly quiet till yesterday. Apparently, my mom fell at work and we think she broke her hand. So that's fun. She went back to work today. She can't do a whole lot because she broke her right hand, unfortunately. So she's basically mostly down to just like answering phone and verbally answering people's questions. She can't really type or write things out, like you would do at a doctor's office. So, I believe she's getting it sorted out as a workers' comp thing because she fell at work and she might need hand surgery. So, that's going to be something fun to deal with. As far as games and game adjacent, I did make a couple purchases on the Steam sale. Let me pull up my receipt. Most of it was just DLC for games I had. Steam purchase. I got some of the DLC I was missing for Dave the Diver. Some of the Beyblade X Evo Battle DLC, and I did also get Gundam Breaker 4 because it was cheap, and I like Gunpla.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've been messing around with Gundam Breaker 4, and it's it, it's cool being able to basically pilot your own, Gundam, like build it the way you want. There's a lot of customization stuff I like in it. Um, I've also been kind of trying to get myself ready for building the Barbatos Adept I have coming. Couple issues. My real grade God Gundam may actually have a mold defect with it because whenever I try to pop the front door up for the core multiplier energy thing to show that off for the hyper mode thing, it pops the neck off. In trying
Are
to
you sure
fix
you
that, I've
shaved all of the right
snapped the
peg?
gun that holds the front chest armor on. And
Are
like
you
I
sure
can
you
glue it
shaved all the
together, but
right
the
bits
problem
and
still
didn't
remains that
shave?
whenever that chest armor's on, um the door seems to be pulled pulled down just enough. the armor doesn't clear the neck plate and will just keep popping the neck off. So I think there's an issue with that part. So because I've had it for a couple years, there's not much I can really do other than just buy another real grade, which kind of sucks. But that's what happens when you have a gunpla backlog that you've been neglecting. And then I moved over to the high grade G-Quacks, and oh my fucking god. Whoever thought those stickers were a good idea need to be drug in front of the town and drawn and quartered. Because
I think a lot of it
Jesus.
just depends on
I've
the
already
artist's
lost
art
a couple of
style.
the eye stickers for the second head. The antenna stickers are nigh impossible for me. I've lost a couple of the like colored accent armor stickers. So yeah, that one's gonna be getting gunpla markered when I can find the time to order those. Because fuck that.
Is anybody hearing me?
I think
Yes.
they have a Keller set for
Okay,
G-Quacks because it has
I'm gonna ping Petty.
some Keller choices, let's call it. So I'm probably gonna look into that. And I did end up ordering a box of the new Digimon card set because they had somebody posted one on TCG Player for like $100, and I said sure. So that is on its way. I think if it's not mailed out by the end of the week, I will send them a message because usually places are pretty good about big orders. They're out within the business day. And I didn't see anything about shipping info added, so that'll be hopefully I have it by the time we come back or I'm getting a refund. As far as anything else going on, I can't think of anything. So yeah, that's it for me.
Petty. Uh-oh. Just got a note from Galix. Boy, Petty fan, I think you turned all of the sound off. Petty?
Adam, can you verify and go to the stream page and see if you're hearing anything? Because I'm not.
All right.
What happened?
What happened? I can
I'm not
hear.
hearing it.
What happened? I can. Not hearing it. I can hear the. I can hear the stream.
Did something break?
Well, I kept trying to say something to you while we were streaming, and you couldn't hear while you were doing your news.
Oh.
And you couldn't hear me.
Shit. Yeah, I couldn't hear you at all. I had to power cycle my headset for a second.
Well, okay.
So yeah, if you guys
At
were
lea-
saying anything, I didn't hear you at all.
Okay, so we nailed that down. It was an equipment
And let me double check
failure.
this because I'm still not hearing anything on the. Okay, the stream must have glitched too because I'm hearing stuff on the stream now.
It might have just been my headset because I saw the bar move and I thought it was just like somebody sneezed or something. And I was like, I didn't know somebody was like actually trying to talk.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure the whole stream wasn't soundless.
Yeah,
because it seemed like it was to me for a second there.
weird.
It possibly could have been, but it got fixed. And if someone wants to rewind and make sure there isn't dead air there while I go through my bit.
I literally don't know how to do that.
You can't while we're live.
No. Oh, well, regardless, the sound's working. The perils of live broadcasts, everyone. At any rate, let's see. I suppose the big thing for me this week, outside of kids watching, is on Friday I have to go down and get the blood work done.
Oh man.
which I'm not looking forward to for a few reasons. One, I never look forward to the jab of the needle, but it's also I have to go down at like 5:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock, something, because the place opens at 6
Mm,
and is only open until 2.
interesting clinic hours, but all right.
And oftentimes it's packed there.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Because you're in
plus,
Florida.
yes. And then the week after that, I think, yeah, next Thursday is my usual doctor's appointment. Um, I mean, I guess like I'm not anticipating any huge changes from the last time I got a blood test.
Mm.
Um, but you never know until the results come in. I mean, outside of that, then the day after the like the court thingy is happening for my brother. Um, see how that goes. Um, and I suppose as far as gaming is concerned, um, I've picked up a fair amount of stuff from the Steam sale. That will uh, go into hibernation until I randomly decide to pluck it out, a- as is the custom. It's like I don't know when I'm going to get to, say, Surgeon Simulator 2 or Wall-E the game, but they were downloaded, mainly because they were, by modern standards, pretty small.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a whole bunch of stuff. Um, not ju- not just games, but some DLC, some soundtracks that I hadn't gotten around to yet. Like, um, finally bought the Immortal Redneck soundtrack. Um,
Immortal Redneck?
Immortal Redneck. It's a boomer shooter.
Huh.
I think I got it in the Humble Bundle.
That
Yeah, I definitely
sounds
got
like a
that.
humble bundle game, yeah.
No, no, I distinctly remember I got it in one of those boomer shooter packs. Um, but the Humble Bundle stuff doesn't come with the extra stuff for whatever reason. And that's right. Picked up Elex 2, The Binding of Isaac, uh, Afterbirth, and all the stuff I didn't have. Um, got the Uncharted collection. Dear God, every Sony game I get's just getting bigger and bigger. Like,
Yeah.
this one's 150 gigs, which is. I understand this is like 2 games, but I miss the time when developers and publishers were forced to compress things to meet disk requirements.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the under-discussed issues of the death of physical, quite frankly.
Right.
Um, anyway, I suppose that's it for my news. So, merrily we shall roll along to the interview portion of the broadcast. And joining us, Teddy, that's the wrong name.
Oh, that's what I copied over from the
Oh, I might have forgotten to change it on that sheet, and I have it on the other booking sheet. But
oh.
yeah, apologies. But we're welcoming Jack Erskine of Space Dragon Game.
Yeah, perfect. I'm filling in for Trevor, our other co-founder today.
So
Yes,
there was a guest
that
shift I didn't see. All right.
yes, and it happened not too long ago.
All right.
Um,
Just keeping things interesting for you, you know?
Yeah.
indeed, I'm like. Anyway, Jack, so how we like to get started here is we like to get to know the person behind the games, the studio, and all of that particular business. And we begin this by asking this particular question: what got you interested in video games, both on a personal and a professional level?
So answer I'm gonna have to give here is Donkey Kong Country. We never had game consoles as a kid. I went over to a friend's place when I was about 6, and we played through all of Donkey Kong Country, and I was just absolutely enthralled. And when we finished it, this list of names just comes scrolling past the screen, and I realized, oh, holy shit, people make video games. I want to make video games, and I just haven't really come up with a better plan since then.
I gotta admit, it's rare we get a person who can nail down like a specific video game. That wasn't like, the first thing that they played, Super Mario Brothers or something like that.
Yeah,
So
Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo. Got it. It
yeah,
made an impact.
yes, it did. I don't think there's any discounting that. Um, and I suppose the follow-up question here is: at what point did you manage to, transition from the desire to make video games into actual practice?
That definitely took a while. I took every media course you possibly could through high school, but they didn't really offer any kind of actual game development courses. But I got very lucky in Canberra, in Australia, where I live. The Academy of Interactive Entertainment was founded, which has got a few campuses in the States, actually. So I went there and studied game art and design, and I ended up doing their incubator program. And I've
Mm-hmm.
basically been making video games ever since. Sometimes keeping hospitality jobs just to actually pay the bills. But yeah, I've been pretty instrumental in the indie scene here in Canberra.
And how long ago was that?
Well, look, I tell people I've been making games for about 15 years, but it's probably been a little bit longer than that if you count, doing concept art and little projects. I'm definitely don't have the brain for coding, unfortunately. So art and animation is definitely the field that I'm excelling in. So there's only so much you can do by yourself. Um, but yeah, I'd say about 15 years.
Okay. And at what point did you found Space Dragon Games?
So we founded Space Dragon Games about a year and a half ago. I've worked our other co-lead, Trev, who was going to be on the podcast. I've worked with him basically since we graduated. We were in the same class at AIE together. He was doing coding and I was doing the art. We kind of drifted away. We're working at other little studios for a while. Then came together for a job with Creature Studios, who are based out of Pittsburgh. They released, I don't know if you've seen this one, Starship Home, which was a pretty big title on the Oculus Quest. And then after that, we decided, we're going to start our own game studio up because the constant grind of contract work, trying to find these gigs, only for the project to wrap and then you're stuck looking for work again was just getting backbreaking. So we're really interested now in trying to build something sustainable and just slowly growing that up. Over the course of all of the projects we've worked on, we've worked with so many talented developers, and we're trying to hire everyone we can get our hands on to build our games.
And I suppose it stands to reckon, how big is this Space Dragon now?
We've got the 3 core team members. So we've got, I'm doing all of the art, especially 3D art, animations, rigging, all that kind of stuff. We've got Trev doing a lot of the coding and especially the tech art. And then we've got our recent member, Dan, who is just an absolute machine. He is a coding beast. But then on top of that, we're working with 2 musicians and sound designers in Melbourne. We want to bring them on full time once we grow the studio a little bit. We've got an illustrator based here in Canberra, and she's been doing all the capsule art for Spooker, as well as a bit of other work for some other titles that we've also got in the pipeline right now. And then we've got a few other developers who've come in and contributed little bits and pieces to get their foot in the door, so that when we release Spooker and can actually afford to hire on some people, we can expand the team that way.
Right. So it sounds like you've got some ambitions down the pipeline. And
We
indeed, as far as I can tell, you've got 4 projects in the pipeline, 2 internal and 2 published.
Yeah. So we've got, obviously because we've all been doing contract work, we've all kind of had our fingers in a few other projects. But the big internal one at the moment, the big push at the moment is for Spooker. And then we've also got Null and Void, which is a bit more of a long-term project that we're hoping to get out the door in the next year or so as well.
Okay. And you mentioned Starship Home, but I'm also seeing on your website you name Anecdote Games Outpost as a project some of you worked on. What's the connection there?
So Anecdote are another Canberra developer, and Outpost is this really excellent kind of psychological time-bending horror game. When Trevor and I started up Space Dragon, we did a little bit of work with them right at the beginning. I helped them kind of figure out the design and the rigging of the big monster that they're going to be using, and Trev built a lot of the shaders and tech art that went into the first kind of published demo of the game that they used to get a bunch of funding for it. Fairly soon after that, they kind of solidified the team, and we went on to start working on our own projects. But yeah, we were right there at the ground floor, kind of helping them get the basis of that game up and running.
Ah, I see. Do you still do work on that?
Look, not at the moment, but they are working towards a final push, and we've been in talks about getting Trevor and I back on board to help them get it across the line. I think that monster especially is going to need a little bit of a polish pass. He's good at the moment. He kind of hangs around in the shadows and only pops out when you're not expecting it. But towards the end of the game, you get a good look at it, and we really need to, give it the juice. I love monsters and monster design, animation, rigging. Just creating something really awful and putting it on the screen for players is my very favorite thing.
I suppose that would explain Spooker here. Because I'll be honest, I've been trying to wrap my brain around the conceptualization here. Because if you're not looking at the footage here, Spooker is spooky snooker. Now, admittedly, our audience is going to be typically North American based, so
Yeah, snooker is British for pool.
it's a bit more than that. There are it's a specific form.
Yeah, I think there's
pool.
some British people getting very mad at you right now.
Yeah,
It is a related table, balls, pockets, and cues game.
Yeah, it's like
Fair enough.
softball versus baseball, right?
Yeah, it's same general ballpark, no pun intended, but vastly different rule sets. Of course, pool itself, when people talk about pool, they're talking about typically 8-ball. There's quite a bit of variation even in that set, but snooker, distinct game all its own.
And to make things even more complicated, we're not even really doing snooker. The game started as snooker, but then evolved as we tried to make it as fun to play as possible. But yeah, the name of the game definitely came first. What if we did a spooky snooker game called Spooker?
Uh-huh. And I guess you
everything
got your
sort of
answer.
evolved out from that,
Right. And I suppose, at what point did you make this thing actually spooky?
Honestly, that was something we tried to get done right out the gate. As I mentioned, I love making monsters. I actually really reined it in for this one. Creepy ventriloquist dummies. Definitely creepy, and you get a visceral reaction to it, but there's no teeth, no claws, no horrible spewing acid or, bones on display here. Yeah, we're going a little bit more low-key.
Well, with ventriloquist dummies, it's more about the uncanny valley.
Oh, yes.
So, like having a ventriloquist dummy with claws and teeth and all that probably would look more weird than anything else. Like, but getting off of the finer points of horror, I assume this still plays as a snooker game.
Yeah, I think probably the best way to think about it is, you know how Balatro is using poker, but it's not
Right.
poker itself. It's using that as kind of a jumping off point. One of the great
Yeah.
things about that as a design for a game is everybody kind of understands the basics of how the game works, so anyone can kind of jump in and get started, and then it's about learning what your game does differently, how you rack up those points, and how you actually win, which is quite different to how poker works.
Right, and we've been seeing a whole spate of games like this.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think if you can throw roguelike elements into it, someone is eventually going to do it.
Yeah, we can attest to that.
Well, look, just from a personal game dev point of view, roguelikes are an easy way to make engaging content have this slow drip feed of reward, while building what would otherwise be, pretty straightforward gameplay mechanics. There is a reason that it's so popular. It's not just the fad, it's also just indie game devs need kind of to be able to get the most bang for your buck out of that content, and roguelikes are just perfect for that.
We've noticed. I'm like roguelikes of various sorts come up on our review queue a lot. I'm just saying we noticed the design trends. Okay, so what I think you're telling us here is you've made a game that's using the aesthetic of snooker, but not necessarily the rules of snooker.
Yeah, we took the point system from snooker as kind of a jumping off point for the game going forwards. And honestly, we've been bringing a lot of Magic the Gathering DNA into it as well. We've got different colored balls, which all have their own archetypes for upgrades. That's all about building combos and trying to get your point score as high as possible.
Okay. And how does the spooky element intermingle with the snooker element? Like, is it
So
just
that would
you're
be
playing
all the way
as
through. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, is it just a matter of your avatar is a spooky, scary skeleton, or like are they shrieking at you when you're trying to queue up?
So the way that we've got going there, yeah, there's definitely that kind of mascot horror element. Ralphie, our creepy ventriloquist dummy, is on the screen pretty prominently. You can get jump scared when you do a foul. And more than that, we've got this kind of thematic of you being trapped in this sort of extra dimensional space. It's a speakeasy, but there's something really wrong with it. And this ventriloquist dummy is trying to keep you trapped in there. And we've got sort of an evolving storyline, a little bit like Inscription, very, very heavily inspired by the way that they did little drips of lore and content. So you kind of realize that you are dealing with some kind of force here that is bigger and scarier than just this puppet that you're interacting with, and that if you don't figure out some way to escape, you will be consumed. We've also got other characters that we're adding into the game right now. Other people who are also trapped in this situation that you're in now, and there's very little left of them as they're slowly kind of warped and distorted by this strange place. I don't know how much to give away here, but we are planning to do some really, fairly horrible story beats going forwards.
Well, yeah, I was about to ask, like, what would you say the age rating is on the horror here? Like, is this something that actual kids could play? Older kids, teenager? Like, is this a fully adult horror title?
We're definitely not going too hard on the horror. From the visuals, we're kind of keeping in that Goosebumps range.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the horror kind of comes down from the implication of the setting that you're in and what will happen to you if you can't escape, rather than showing you a bunch of blood and guts and all of that sort of stuff.
So existential dread.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, get a little bit of that H.P. Lovecraft vibes into it.
Mm. And I suppose it's worth delving deeper into the like who are you and why are you trapped in this realm and all of that assorted business.
Yeah, absolutely. So, because the game is kind of entirely from a first person point of view, what we really want is to feel the players to feel like they themselves are trapped in this location. We are seeding a little bit of backstory in there. The game kind of deals with themes of alcoholism and addiction, that you slowly kind of discover a little bit of how you got yourself into this situation. Um, but yeah, essentially, imagine waking up in a really bizarre speakeasy after a bender. No idea of how you got there, and there's this creepy puppet that's challenging you to a pool game and won't let you leave until you've beaten him. Uh, we're also kind of adding a whole bunch of mechanics that let Ralphie the puppet mess with you, roulette wheels and
Mm.
cheating, essentially. Yeah, he messes with the tables and messes with your balls and really tries to destroy your plans as you get closer to actually escaping.
Phrasing.
Oh,
I couldn't let that go.
it's good. I mean, this is a gold mine for that sort of stuff, right?
No doubt, no doubt. Um, right. So, and what is Ralphie's goal here? Like, is he trying to swallow your soul or something?
More or less, yeah. So the general vibe, and this is getting into the deep lore of the game, is that this space, the pool hall, has always existed, but not necessarily as a pool hall. Think of it as a kind of
Mm.
extra dimensional being, like an anglerfish that wants to trap and consume you, and Ralphie is its lure. He was once trapped in there just like you, but unlike you, he's proven himself useful to this strange being. So it's kind of consumed what it could of him and left what is useful there to help trap other people within it.
Hmm. I suppose that makes sense, moving with the times and such.
Yeah, and it's a bit anachronistic, you know. Ralphie's time is getting close to over, you know. Who plays snooker anymore? This pool hall is going to need to come up with some new guys that it can take to really trap the next generation. So, like on top of everything else, there's this undercurrent of desperation as this puppet is trying to show that it's still useful. It's still a entertaining character that can keep the souls coming.
Well, good luck to you, I suppose. I honestly have no idea how popular snooker is.
It's
I,
it's been one of those weird games where I think people do like pool, but a lot of people are really, really terrible at it. And we've had a bit of an interesting balancing act. I mean, early on, we did get some people who were very into pool to come and play the game, and they just wanted to
Mhm.
add complex mechanics, absolutely perfect physics for everything. And we're sitting there trying to figure out, okay, are we making the Forza of pool games, or are we making Mario Kart? You know, where is the line, and how simplified do we want it versus how deep do we want our gameplay mechanics?
Huh.
And that's something that we've been sort of struggling with since day one, and I think we've hit a really good kind of middle point for the game. We fairly recently, just before Next Fest, added the ability to add spin to your shots. I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with pool, but
Yeah.
essentially you can add aim for the center of the ball when you're smashing your white ball, or as
Hmm.
you add aim left or right or up or down, you can add spin to a shot, which will cause the ball and any balls that it hits to react differently. So we've added some fairly complex physics calculations in how the balls work, but in a system where if you're keen and you want to work with that, you can do it. And if you're not interested, you can just ignore that system entirely. Maybe play a little bit worse, but still be able to play the game.
Mm. And this is a question that's a bit tricky to ask, given what you've already told us, but um, it is something that does need to be defined at least a little bit. And like, what is the goal of you, or at least what is the ostensible goal here? Like, why are you putting in snooker balls into the pockets and such? What's your motivation, so to speak?
So the only way that you're able to move closer to the exit door that you can see from all across the bar is to finish a table. So
Hmm,
as you finish tables, you're allowed to move onto the next table, getting one step closer to that glowing exit sign that you can see all the way across the bar.
okay. Seems fairly straightforward on the surface. I'm sure there are complications to that will unfold as the game progresses.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Uh, um, and like I said, it's um. Oh, right. That's what I wanted to ask. Um, is there any sort of picking the cue, or is it just like the one pool?
It's the one cue itself. We did experiment with that fairly early on,
Mhm.
and potentially it's something that we'll add later. But we kind of found that players were way more interested in the balls and the trophies themselves. So sort of like the Jokers in Balatro, you collect trophies throughout a run. You've got your case, which has all of the balls in it, and as you're moving through, you can swap the balls themselves out. Some of them just let you focus on different colors. Some of them let you add balls with modifiers, and then there are mechanics that work with colors and modifiers, and then all the trophies create interesting builds as well. The trophies come in 6 colors as well as rainbow trophies um, to
Mhm.
match what you're doing with the balls. And then the different balls all have different point values assigned to them with different rarities. Red balls are worth 1, but they're very common. Purple balls are way more rare, but are worth 8 points out the gate. And then each different color has different mechanics that it's trying to lean into as well. Purple is generally about making one ball really, really powerful, but at the risk that Ralphie might sink that ball before you get to it. Whereas red is about sinking as many balls as you possibly can. And mixing and matching those colors can get you some pretty powerful combos as well.
Hmm. And how extensive are the roguelike element in
It's
Spooker here?
it's pretty extensive actually. Like as I mentioned, you are swapping out and upgrading the balls as you run. You're finding these trophies and then unlocking new trophies as you go, and then also upgrading trophies. And then in addition to that, we've also got a permanent upgrade system that just helps you get better over each of your runs. Changing the amount of starting resources that you've got access to, giving you interest per tables. Yeah, just giving you all of those little abilities so that you are getting stronger and getting a little bit further each table as well.
Hmm. And now we come to one of my least favorite parts of any sort of rogue discussion. And that is this a rogue like, or is it a rogue light?
Definitely roguelite. If I'm using those terms correctly, I'm constantly
Yeah,
getting them mixed up. We are not
Ugh.
exactly like Rogue, but we are incorporating systems that were created by Rogue. God, we've got to come up with better names for these genres. It's terrible. It's really bad.
we need a better distinction because okay, yeah, roguelike is something like roguelite is that's the term that they invented when you added metatextual element, you know, permanent upgrades.
Yep.
Um, that's basically what I'm asking here. Like, do you earn a whole bunch of currency that you can spend at the central shop to permanently upgrade your, I don't know, hitting speed or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got 2 currencies in the game: coins, which you earn in the game and are limited to each run, and then your loyalty card, which gets stamped with every finished table. When you've got 5 points, you get a loyalty card, and those loyalty cards can be spent to upgrade your trophies, unlock one-time consumables, and also access that permanent upgrade board that I was telling about in the game. So you do get more powerful between runs based on how well you did in a run, which lets you do a little bit better, which then lets you buy the bigger, more expensive rewards.
Right. So yeah. I think everyone here, at the very least, is familiar with how that goes. At any rate, so how far along is the game at this point?
Honestly, we've made it pretty far. So we've got a demo there that is, fully playable, all of the gameplay mechanics in. We've got the various different types of trophies. I think we've got at least eight trophies for each color at the moment. We're planning for the finished game to have 10, although that might change. We've also got over 100 different pool tables that you can play on. That whole system is really interesting. That's one of the systems our programmer Dan has built. Last time he timed himself, took him about 12 and a half minutes to go from a concept for a pool table to a brand new pool table in the game. So we're using a whole series of complex line renderers. So you essentially draw out a shape and the game will generate a table based on that shape for you. So in terms of like the actual mechanical content, the game is pretty close to done. The next stage is going to be a big pass that I'm doing across the game, which is adding all of the text and dialogue and character animations. We've got enough for it to be functional. Ralphie plays the game. He lounges around the scene when he's not actively playing with you and moves around when you're not looking directly at him. But we also need to go through an update, animations that trigger when you lose, or some of the extra little scenes that we're going to have of Ralphie actively messing with you to make the runs harder as you get further along. There are lots of little elements that we can add. And if I'm going to be totally honest with you, we sort of built this game to be a relatively quick game to produce. We're about 5.5 months into development on this thing. And we could release it now. But we are actively in talks, looking at publishers, trying to figure out what is the best deal that we can get here. Ideally, I'd like to spend another 6 months on it and make it a really big, really interesting game that does all of the cool story stuff that we want it to do, that has all these extra cool moments that you just bolt on top of that core gameplay mechanic. But this industry is weird and the economy is interesting at the moment too. So it's one of those things that we'll have to see. We could release it in a month if we really had to. But I don't want to.
You don't want to do that if you don't have to.
Absolutely. And I mean, the other thing about just marketing a game from an indie point of view too is just the longer you are out there, the more wish lists you get, the more word of mouth you get, the longer that kind of road is to release, the more time we have to just get it in front of people. We just went and did Next Fest, and that was amazing for us. We managed to more than triple our wish list there, but it's still a bit sketchy. I wouldn't want to be pushing it out the door now, just from a marketing point of view, even if it was completely feature complete.
Right. So how much more dev time do you think you have?
Right now, that is a really hard question to discuss. We've just had 3 big chats with publishers, and we've got another 3 or 4 over the coming weeks. Canberra as well is actually really good on games production funding for kind of small and medium-sized teams. So there is a chance that in the next few months we could get a influx of government grant money as well, which would just be incredible. We've already applied for a bit of that when we first started up the studio, and that's just been an absolute life changer. I guess the answer is more. We want more time to work on this thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those impossible questions to answer. How long is a piece of string?
Indeed. And in terms of your talks with publishers, is that in order to get the game onto consoles, mobile, porting, or is that like a general release sort of situation?
Honestly, our main ask at the moment has just been budget to increase our dev time and marketing. specifically a marketing budget and preferably marketing connections, getting us, into the gaming publications, getting us in front of streamers, all of those little people that
Yeah,
you kind of need to know people to get in front of. In
PR
terms of the console,
agencies. Yeah,
in terms of
the
console
like.
stuff, like we've already got the game running on Windows, PC, Linux. We've got 60 frames a second on Steam Deck, and we've already got it working on Xbox and PlayStation. Switch is the killer. Actually, getting your hands on a Switch 2 dev kit is insane at the moment, but we're pretty confident that we could get it running on Switch 1. But I think again, getting a publisher is one of those things that'll make dealing with Nintendo and potentially just getting a proper dev kit easier. Because that is just insane at the moment. I don't know why they've locked it down so heavily.
Probably part shortage, honestly.
Yeah, look, you're probably not wrong there.
From what I've heard, they don't want the Switch 2 eShop to be overwhelmed with spam right now.
Yeah, the AI slop got real bad on Switch 1.
Oh, that's definitely true. It is a shame because the Switch one was such a good indie machine, though. They had all of the greats there, and I think it really was a good platform for indies to release onto. I guess they just need to be really careful about that quality control.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is just what we've heard. Don't take it as
we don't have the connection
truth.
at Nintendo yet.
Yeah.
I mean, either.
Even if we did, like, that's not the kind of thing that any sort of Nintendo rep is going to tell us.
Oh,
yeah. On the record. Like,
well, if they want to keep their job.
Yeah. Anyway, so that does lead me to my final question about Spooker at this time, and that is pricing. Have you worked out any sort of pricing for the game yet?
Yes, we have. So we're looking for a $13 USD release.
I see what you're doing there.
Yeah.
I mean, when there's a non-standard amount of pricing, there's usually a reason behind it. Like when, say, New Blood does $14.20 on a game. That kind of thing. Right. Anyway, so yeah, we do have another game to talk about here. So it seems like a good point to switch over to Null and Void.
Okay, yeah.
And for the uninitiated, what is Null and
All right, Null and Void is a roguelike tower defense narrative-based game. If Spooker was Trev's baby, Null and Void is my baby. It's kind of combining all the things that I just love about video games into one awesome little package.
And it's quite the package, given the amount of descriptors you've listed here.
Yeah, we definitely need to get that down to something a little bit tighter.
Trying to work on the elevator pitch.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think mentioning genre in the elevator pitch is just something I've got to stop doing, honestly. But you've got to paint a mind picture there somewhere,
right?
So essentially, it's a deck building tower defense game, where instead of defending a castle, you're essentially mining resources that are essential for the existence of life in the galaxy. Paid by your evil corporation, you are a poor cloned worker who's desperately trying to pay off the debt that keeps getting bigger, so that you can escape this horrific cycle of cloning and death, essentially.
I gotta admit, this is an interesting mix here, and one I'm not exactly convinced is going to play well together, because how roguelike deck building stuff works and how tower defense games work are actually fairly different. I.e., one of the key concepts of, well, your traditional tower defense games is actually reliability. Like, you get your units at fairly reliable interval. using unlockable. My point is, randomness isn't really part of that equation. So I'm wondering how you're balancing out that with these roguelike elements here.
I think a lot of that's going to come down to how the towers themselves are designed. We've also added a number of cards that let you draw and copy towers and do a number of other mechanics. On top of that, the roguelike map itself gives you some consistency as you travel through and have story-based events with people. You start to create places that you can reliably go to get various pieces. Also, going into debt at the corporate shop at the beginning of a run is a big part of kind of establishing what you are working from at the beginning. And then as you play through, you also unlock different starting decks that give you an amount of resources that you can reliably rely on at the beginning of each run. And then whatever you manage to unlock on top of that tends to be the rarer and more powerful cards as well.
Okay. Once again, it's going to be interesting to see how that all bores out. But I suppose shifting to the other element here, this sounds like it's going for some actual. Well, in terms of deck building, like, is it actually using card game mechanics, or is it just, actual deck building? That is to say, like, does it have a listing of what a unit does? And, if you say double, if you tap the card, it'll do this, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so you start off basically with 3 energy per turn. Cards can cost 1 to X energy, so you're using up some of those resources. And cards come in 3 flavors. You've got your towers, you've got structures, and then you've got your abilities. So towers obviously go on the board and do some form of damage or some kind of effect to the enemy units. Structures give you some kind of buff. You might spend an energy now to build a tower that generates an extra energy every round. Or you might have a tower that you can activate that draws you 2 cards and discards a card. We're working a lot of those classic trading card game mechanics into those. Think of them as like artifacts or enchantments from Magic the Gathering. And then the third type are more like your instances and sorceries from Magic the Gathering, stuff that you play that has a one-off effect that just activates now. Now, some of that might be generating fuel for your ship, or healing your ship, or using some of the health from your ship to draw cards, copying towers that already exist. We've got a number of these cards kind of already in the game and running. And we've also got towers planned that get buffs based on the number of ability cards in your graveyard or the number of structures that you've built out on the map. So there are a few different directions that you can start to kind of bend your deck towards based on the towers you've gotten.
Right. Since we're starting to get into the weeds about card game mechanics, I'm going to see if my colleagues here have anything more in depth for you, because they're the ones who play the tabletop, the card games, especially you, Petty.
Did I actually mute? Yeah, I did. All right, but yeah, you mentioned Magic. Are there any other card game influences?
Our new programmer, Dan, is way more into Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon than Magic the Gathering, and he started bringing a few of those ideas in. I will admit I am just a shameless Magic nerd. I have way too many Commander decks. Recently got really into Pauper. It's a problem, and I recognize that it's a problem, and
It's
I definitely
only a
need
problem when the bills don't clear.
What do you mean? It's an investment. I'm saving up for the bills by buying Magic cards.
I definitely spent a rational amount of money on boxes of the new Digimon set.
Yep.
Same. Don't check my bank account, please, for the love of God.
Yeah, again, talking about a brand new game here, but there was this Yu-Gi-Oh game that our programmer Dan is just obsessed with, and he wants to build a version of that for the next game title.
Oh God.
So it's been really nice being forced out of my comfort zone on this one, because that's I think where the good game design decisions come from.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's all I can really think of. Like, I can't really think of anything because I haven't looked at the stuff for the other game yet, so I can't really make any much in the way of comments.
All right.
Well, look, I will say now, if you join the Null and Void Discord channel, you can get a copy of one of our early demos. So early it's not even on Steam yet, and have a little play for yourselves.
Ah,
There's a few things from the art point of view that I really love about this game as well. For example, we're using one texture, one 512 by 512 pixel texture for basically every asset in the game.
Mm-hmm.
that's interesting.
Just little things, because when we first started this one up, I was making all of the art for every element in the game. We have hired an illustrator for characters and splash screens and things. But when it's just one person making everything, you've got to be as efficient as you possibly can. And this also just helps keep everything in the one style. So we've just got this one texture that's a whole series of gradients, and you just place your elements somewhere on each of the gradients. It makes unwrapping the easiest thing in the world, and you end up getting this really beautiful kind of consistent vibe for the entire game.
I guess I should ask: is this being built solely as like a game, or is it like mechanically could it be made into an actual card game if the opportunity presents itself?
I think the rule sets for how you do towers would be interesting. I think that there's definitely a chance there that that could work on more of a tabletop setting, but
Right.
I think it'd probably be more like a board game with a set board. Maybe you build your own track.
Yeah.
Yeah, calculating how towers are doing their thing would be the interesting part there.
hmm Or like just the card game mechanic thing in and of itself, just dropping the towers aspect.
Well, I definitely think that's possible, yeah.
Oh
And
no,
it's
the
one of those
scope
things
creep
where,
just went ding, ding,
uh-oh,
ding.
brain is processing. Huh. I mean, I
What have
love
you
that.
unleashed?
This isn't the first time I've done this. Is the problem?
I I love these questions though, because yes, I've got a whole number of board games that are, this game, but now a board game, and
Mhm.
how they make that mechanical jump while keeping the flavor of that original thing is fascinating.
Mhm. Most
And board
definitely.
games, I mean, you have to be really elegant in the way that you design your
Oh yeah,
mechanics because
rule leaders can be assholes sometimes when it comes to board
Mm,
games, card games. So
yeah, absolutely. And you don't have this beautiful computer running millions of calculations a second. You've
yeah,
got the human brain doing everything. So
yeah, you
whatever
don't
you
have the
make has to
computer
be.
that is the final judge, jury, and executioner on what you want to do. You can
Yep,
kind of
yep,
bend it with
absolutely.
physical and yeah.
I think it's really funny too. I mean, I'm definitely one of those gamers who you could sit in there and explain the rules to me all day, but until I start playing, I am not going to understand any of it.
Mhm.
And I think I try to carry that over, build the kinds of games that my ADHD riddled brain would manage to get around. You know?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose that it'd be less so in the tower defense game, since it's going to be using the rules of tower defense and all that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, you can still make ways for it to work in at least a board game setting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think turns. So each unit has a number of tiles that it moves per
Mhm.
turn. When it first, each tower would have a range. So as soon as a unit enters that range, it'll attack the first unit. Area of effect ones hit everything. I definitely think there are ways that you could do a board
I've
game
I've
tower defense game.
seen back when we had a local game shop, I saw them demo something similar to this in action. I don't remember the name of the game, and it kills me because the shop's closed now, so I can't exactly go ask the owner, "Hey, what was that game you showed off a couple of years ago?" But yeah, like if I remember it, I'll pass it along because that could be something interesting. Because who knows when the opportunity would come around to like print something, you know?
Right.
But yeah,
Uh,
I think that's it for me on at least this game.
Alex, do you have any further card game questions?
I don't think so.
All right. Because that means I will shift focus to something I don't think we've really touched upon yet. And that's, I think, the third descriptor, the narrative part. So it begs the question, what's the story here?
Eh.
So, the basic story, right at the beginning of the game, you are on the run from corporate debt collectors. You get to establish how you got yourself into debt, which will have a little impact going forwards. But essentially, you've joined the team of resource acquisition technicians, rats, who are totally pushed along by the VexCorp's AI Vexer. In this universe, long, long ago, VexCorp won the Corpo Wars and is now the one and only mega corporation that runs absolutely everything. Every business, down to like little street vendors, is a subsidiary of VexCorp, and you are just released into this corporate dystopia with a massive increasing debt that you are trying to pay off. Because you are scanned in at the beginning of the game, each run ends with you dying in some horrible way, and that is part of the story. A new clone pops out. You get some things carry over, other things are lost. Depending on how you died, you might have a buff or a debuff going into the next run. And you are trying to explore the universe, make connections, and trying to desperately make enough money to pay this bill off.
Hmm. And what makes this so narrative heavy?
Well, one of the big core parts of the game, on top of the universe itself, you've got 5 co-workers who are all in the exact same situation that you are. Each of them has a different relationship to and understanding of the corporation and will offer you different words of advice. So every time you start a new run, you start off in your break room. We're kind of knocked off the idea from Hades of having this little starting area with people that you can go and talk to and build relationships with as you go forwards. And they've each got their own relationships with each other, so you can't befriend the whole team. It's going to be a little bit more fraught than that. And then every place that you visit along your journeys basically has an evolving quest line. You know, first time you get there, you get quest 1 based on how that quest 1 resolves. The next time that you visit, it will have moved along to its next state, and you can take quest 2 or 3 depending on how you manage to actually land that. So on top of the actual gameplay, actually exploring the universe and trying to essentially build community in this corporate hellscape is a big chunk of what you are actually doing moment to moment.
Oh, just to mildly interrupt, I did find the name of that board game that kind of integrates tower defense elements and a little bit of deck building. It's called Castle Panic
It's called,
by
sorry?
Castle Panic by Fireside Games. It's a basically a in real life tower defense deck builder.
Oh, this is cool.
So
Okay, I am absolutely going to be looking into this. Thank you so much. This is why I like talking to people about
Mhm.
games.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
It also helps have say the for whatever reason the digital version doesn't pan out, but you get interest in making this physical for whatever reason. Oh, hey, you have a new outlet.
Yep, absolutely. And I got to be honest, the funding systems for board games is so different to for video games. I think the Patreon models and the GoFundMe's are just way healthier than anything to do with games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's probably because it costs a lot less to make a board game or a tabletop game or a card game than it does to make a video game.
Yeah,
It
that's probably true.
depends on production, but yeah,
I think it costs more to ship a board game, though. You
yeah.
know, one of the best things about making video games right now is once we get it onto Steam, it is global, and we don't have to make anything or send anyone anything.
And Steam handles
Um,
any regional pricing adjustments for you. You literally
it's
just need to
brilliant.
cut the taxes whenever you do that, and that's all you really have to worry about.
Yep.
But yeah, anyway, sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
Anyway, so I believe you mentioned that this game had to be set aside for the development of Spooker. Um, with that in mind, how far along was it before the pause?
So we've got all of the core mechanics built. We've got, the systems that allow us to do dialogue, that get enemies into the game, that get all the towers built, have been made. Um, Essentially, we got it to the point where our coding team could move on to the next project, and I was going to be continuing to work on Null and Void, getting the writing completed, and now with the tools to basically make enemies, towers, new cards from scratch as we went. We've built a really modular system for getting all of these mechanics in and working, with the idea that programming team then go ahead, build the next game, and I would leapfrog onto that project after wrapping Null and Void. Now, we ended up doing something a little bit sneaky with Spooker, and it's just come together so incredibly quickly. Like, as I mentioned, we've been working on this for about 5.5 months there, and big chunks of that have been us hunting publishers or gearing up for Next Fest and then running Next Fest. We were really chasing down streamers, trying to get as many people playing the game as we possibly could over there. But I've never worked on a game that has sort of come together so quickly. With Null and Void, figuring out how all these mechanics interact, doing all the world building, it all takes a long time to get it to a point where you are comfortable getting it out the door. I think Null and Void, a horror snooker with Balatro mechanics, just it felt like it arrived fully formed, and all we had to do was get it out the door, really. So we made that decision to jump ahead, try and get Spooker out, because we felt that on top of being a quick game, it's also much easier to market. People have responded so well to that creepy puppet. It's kind of incredible, actually.
Has anyone tried to make the puppet IRL and send it to you yet?
Not yet, but that kind of fan art is the thing that I'm the most excited for. I cannot wait. Someone has to do it, and I'm so excited for when that happens.
Indeed. It will be put up on the mantle.
I mean, do you have your post office box listed or anything?
Oh, okay. You're making a good point here. I'm going to have to get that on the website.
Oh no, Adam, what have we done? We're gonna get them a cursed puppet sent to their office.
Hey,
It's
look,
our
I
fault.
blame all of you for anything horrible that turns up on my doorstep.
Right. And I think that's about it for my questions. Do you guys have anything further?
I can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
All right.
Yes, I believe I am good. Sorry, I muted myself.
It's fine. But yeah, Jack, I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule and filling in for Trevor and talking about your games here with us today. It's been a very lovely conversation.
Hey,
And
no
we look
problem at all. I really love this. I feel like a proper game dev now showing up for podcasts. This is just, yeah, very
We've
professional.
increased your scope by about 5 years. It's fine.
Yeah. Anyway,
Look,
the
publisher's
yeah.
going to love that.
I do hope so. Anyway, the game is Spooker. It currently has a demo out now, so you can try it. And as always with these things, be sure to go and wishlist it on Steam today.
It helps so
Petty,
much. My God.
indeed. Petty, play us to the next segment. Right. So, welcome to the final topic of discussion of the season. And I wish it were a happier one, but that's not the world we live in.
No, it is not.
Though Yeah. Now, we have actually been talking about the Microsoft layoffs for about a month now, I think.
Right.
It's been a thing that we've known has been long in coming and was going to hit like a Mack truck.
I was
Um,
nicknaming it Black Monday, Bloody Monday, and
yeah,
I was not wrong.
yes and no. Like, if I'm being honest here, it's not as bad as I was expecting. In fact, it was actually a lot better than I was expecting. Now, do not conflate this with me saying that Microsoft did good here or anything nutty like that. No, this was still bloody awful.
They avoided a
And
couple of the most awful choices they could have made.
yes, and also a number of their studios are avoiding the worst fate. In fact, I'd argue that right now that the companies that are getting spun off or sold off are in a better position than some of the companies that are staying behind.
Right.
Because you know what I haven't heard out of Ninja Theory? You know what I haven't heard out of Double Fine? Etc., etc., etc. Nobody has gotten laid off yet. I will preface the yet part because in the case of Double Fine and Compulsion Games, they are to or have been spun out. Like, I don't know where they are on that process. Like, some websites have been listing them as they're already gone from Microsoft. I don't think that's the case, if only because these are actual legal processes and those take time.
And I
Um,
think Double Fine, when they were acquired, actually hired some extra people, so it may take some time to see if they can retain those extra hires or if they will have to shed some talent even after being spun off.
yeah, right. There are a whole bunch of unknowns here. It's also, keep in mind that whatever was agreed to was just agreed to, because a big part of the rumors were that all of the leadership teams were in active negotiations with Microsoft to determine their next fate.
Either stay
Um,
or get some sort of financial backing leaving or discussion who they're getting sold to.
right. Now, to illustrate the point, both Ninja Theory and Undead Labs are set to be sold off to, as of yet unnamed entities. They are not named because those are ongoing discussion, and to it may not happen yet.
Yeah.
So Ninja Theory and Undead Labs are not out of the woods yet.
Because the deal could
Or
fall through and
yeah,
Microsoft may be
or
forced to close them.
yeah, or even Microsoft may come to their senses and realize they're selling off Undead Labs for some reason. This is the one that has confounded everyone. Because Undead Labs, if you don't know, they're the maker of the State of Decay game. And State of Decay 3 was shown off very prominently at that Summer Game Fest conference thing. And unlike a lot of other studios and whatnot that have been put on the block, the unfortunate thing here is Double Fine. Yeah, here's the fact of the matter about Double Fine. They have their most recent releases were a couple of very quirky double A level, single, larger than indie, smaller than triple A games that absolutely sold for shit. And were probably intended to be Game Pass fault.
Right.
I don't know. The point is, you could understand from the cold, logical business side of things why Double Fine would get the X, or even Ninja Theory. Bit more surprising, but here's the thing: Hellblade 2 was, from indicators, very expensive to make.
Mm-hmm.
In order to make a game that had much more impressive tech, but about the same size as the first Hellblade.
Yeah.
Like, once I learned that, yeah, I'm not surprised. And also, Hellblade 2 did very little actual business.
It was
I'm like,
another game that a lot of people played on Game Pass, but didn't actually buy.
yeah, it's almost like Game Pass hurt a lot of people here.
Yeah.
But there's much more to get through. The point is, with these other entities, it's understandable why they were lined up. Undead Labs is just a big old question mark because the State of Decay series is hugely successful.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a quirky game. It's not it's not a single player heavy game. It's a live service ish title that focused on multiplayer. It's got fucking zombies in it. And I understand that, zombies aren't quite as omnipresent as they once were. It's still probably a game that's set to do pretty good business.
Mm-hmm.
All the elements are there. But apparently Microsoft doesn't feel like it's going to make enough money to, I guess, justify the dev time or whatever.
Right.
So essentially they have paid for nothing because Undead Labs has not released a game under Microsoft ownership and seemingly will not release a game. So, you just funded a game for about, let's say 2/3 of the way there, and someone else is going to um, potentially reap the benefits. Now, Microsoft could still end up being the publisher of State of Decay 3. Honestly, this is probably one of the central sticking points to their offloading.
Yeah, we don't know what's been worked on. It's been under wraps. There could have been something started in cane and
That's not
wool.
well, no, that's not true. Once again, we actually have quite a bit of footage from State of Decay 3.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, I mean, like any
so
other project other than State of the K3, there could have been something smaller worked on that we just don't know about.
I suppose. But the point is, yeah, those four are getting offloaded, and there is a fifth from the Bethesda side of things in Arcane Lyon,
Mm-hmm.
aka what was left of Arcane after the previous round of layoffs ended Arcane Austin. Um, Regrettably, that was actually really understandable. I know people were gutted about Arcane Austin being dismantled, but here's the thing: their last game was unfortunately Deadfall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was probably one of the worst games to come out in probably the last
and
few years.
I'm aware that the people who worked on the game knew it was a hulking sack of shit waiting to be released, and wanted to get. They literally wanted the game to get canceled. It was that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they pressed onward for various reasons, and unfortunately, that means on your resume, your last game was Deadfall,
Mm-hmm.
and thus, to the general populace, it becomes a lot more understandable why you cease to exist.
Yep.
Um, and similarly, Arcane Leon is in the same position, seemingly. Though, granted, officially, they are in what is called the consultation business.
Because they are not a
Due to,
US based studio.
no, they are a French studio. because France has probably the most stringent labor laws in video gamedom. Like, if not them, then it's going to be some European country that
Yeah.
has it. The point is, they got to talk to their workers' council before they can make any maneuver. So whatever fate awaits Arcane, that's months away. Because it's not just a matter of doing the American business thing of saying,
Everybody's out by
you're gone.
Friday.
Yeah. No. There are legal repercussions there. To the point where, Microsoft is clearly not daring to, try and circumvent around that, for whatever sake of Arcane. So, and here's the thing, because it's a consultation process, the consultation may end up, they stick with Blade. Even though they right now want to get rid of it. Once again, due to whatever murky reasons Microsoft has garnered up, like, they haven't specifically said what's wrong with Blade.
Right. Because it wasn't even shown off this year's Summer Game Fest, was it?
No, it's supposed. Like, I think it's supposed to come out in 2027, though it could be further out. Racism could be an issue here. Like, I can't discount that because Black Lead. Like, Microsoft has earned no benefits of no doubts here. But it could also not be that. Like, the point is, we don't know. And nobody focusing in on like the actual cuts, where people are finally focusing in on, because we're getting a clearer picture of the individual studio devastation, versus like the numbers being quoted, say 3,600 jobs or whatever. The thing is, that's not the accurate number. It's like 1,300 across the Xbox and Bethesda divisions.
Some of those numbers in the big number are people who are just part of the ones that are being sold off. They're not going to be Microsoft employees, but they're not losing their jobs. Yeah, at least.
No, apparently that doesn't. No, apparently that doesn't include the spinouts. And the actual number of employees let go is 4,500. That's from the entire Microsoft organization. And the thing of it is, apparently, this round of cuts isn't as bad this year because they managed to get a number of senior employees to take retirement package. Like, but anyway, getting back to the cuts, it seems to be mainly over the Xbox and Bethesda segments. There has been no word of Activision being touched this time, at least not yet. The thing is, only half of the job losses have been implemented so far, and apparently the other half is going to be rolled out over the course of the fiscal year. So now there's a culture of fear of not having the job over the course of the next year.
Right.
So they've got that hell to look forward to. But like I said, numbers are coming in from all over the place.
I guess one of the most damning numbers that came out is for every dollar invested into Xbox, they lost.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that later.
All right, fair enough.
Because I want to focus on the workers, because we've actually got some actual paperwork, because they've had to They've sent warn notices to California and Texan authority. So we know exactly the positions, not the names, but we know the positions that got axed. For example, job include 4 gameplay designers, 1 director of engine technology, 2 principal engineer programmers, 9 QA testers, 13 senior QA testers, a senior skybox artist, and 3 producers. So, I'm trying to figure out where to start here because, once again, it's been all over the place. ZeniMax has been hit pretty hard. Or at least a lot of their Texas studio. Specifically, ZeniMax Online. Out of the entire group, about 158 jobs were lost. A good chunk of that out of id Software.
Yeah.
Apparently reports are coming in that they've been reduced down to the size of a support studio. And I've been seeing conflicting reports about their entire technology team being axed or their engine team. I'm honestly not
something
sure.
very important was axed. I don't remember what exactly.
It was something like the implication was apparently they're getting rid of id Tech and they're going to have id Software transition to Unreal.
That made my soul squirm.
Believe me, there's been a lot of that is a soul punch to anyone who lived through the 90s or early 2000s. But here's the thing, I get it. I get why id Software was hit hard. Harder than they expected. It's timing. People are mentioning, but they just released their second DLC expansion to Doom the Dark Age. And so on, and they've been consistently releasing games for 10 years now or whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna give you some secrets of corporate thinking. Yes, that means they don't have a project. That is about the worst thing you can be at a stage like this, under new management, business being bad, or insert bad thing here, because that means you're vulnerable. Businesses especially fucking Microsoft, they're not thinking in terms of what have you done for me lately, or even now. They're looking towards the future. Literally, they're looking towards what you're going to cost, what you are producing, what you are working on now and into the future. Not one day ago, not 10 years ago, now.
Because they're still paying them salaries even though they don't have anything currently being worked on. So that's about the worst place you want to be.
Yep. And per Bloomberg, apparently they were very much in the incubation stage. Trying to figure out what they wanted to work on next. Seriously, this is some brainstorming shit here. Reports indicate either a new first-person shooter called Fury or codename Fury or something like that. fucking Perfect Dark showed up. Is Perfect Dark just a fucking curse
Possibly, yes.
to anyone that isn't Rare?
Even Rare, let's be fucking real.
Rare is still around, and yeah, Perfect Dark Zero didn't set the world on fire, but I don't think they received any harm from it. Just they've been busy on other things since then. Granted, there's more to it than that. Like during the Kinect era, Microsoft just would not greenlight anything that wasn't a Kinect project.
Yeah. Yeah.
The point is they were in what they call the incubation stage. So yeah, they got hit hard. And I'm also going to let you in on why id Tech was probably targeted for the recycle bin or whatever deletion metaphor you want to use in favor of Unreal. It's because id Tech is pretty specialized engine software at this point. Blame Carmack for walling off id Tech with Doom 3. I don't know the reasons why. Remember, back in say 2001, id Tech, what we call id Tech now, or what we call the Quake 3 engine then, was very competitive with like the Unreal Engine in terms of like actual usage by actual developers. There was a very good chance, had Carmack been interested in pursuing it, that id Tech could have ended up in the position that Unreal ended up in. But it didn't. Because Carmack really didn't like the licensing game and just, brought everything in-house. And id Tech at best was being used by the wider Bethesda organization. Like Tango Gameworks used id Tech for the Evil Within series.
Right.
That kind of thing. But now obviously not everybody used id Tech. Bethesda proper never used id Tech. The point is, highly specialized engine software, engine middleware, etc. versus Unreal. Unreal is unfortunately used across a whole swath of Microsoft developers. And and they actually have one of the best Unreal developers in the world right now. Try to guess who that is.
I have no idea.
The Coalition.
Holy.
The Coalition. If you don't remember who that is, the Gears of War developer.
Oh.
Yeah, apparently they are so skilled in working in Unreal, they're building like custom plugins that are apparently being used by other companies. So yeah, when you lay that out across the deck, you kind of see where upper management's coming from. I'm not saying it's a good choice. I'm not saying it's the right choice, because Unreal isn't a one size fits all thing.
Right.
There are dangers to that approach, especially since. Or here's another thing. Yeah, they have cleaned house on id Tech, and id Software, but that assumes that they will never staff back up.
If they get something out of incubation, Microsoft
Right.
may start hiring some people.
Or, okay, so here's another aspect of the story we haven't gotten to yet. And that is Microsoft's current brain trust is formally changing how they operate. Because okay, under the Phil Spencer era, the Microsoft game studio structure operated under limited integration.
Right.
Um,
They were all literally just separate boxes, no intermingling.
Also, we're not getting rid of your corporate culture, things of that nature. Okay, things that gave them a lot of problems during the 2000s.
Yeah.
Created a lot of conflict. But if I'm going to be frank here, it drifted way too far in the other direction. Like, just story after story after story after fucking story of Microsoft game after Microsoft game after Microsoft game being mismanaged. And I don't mean like the C-suite corporate suits at the top either. I mean the individual project managers up to the studio head. Phil Spencer does not explain why Halo turned in such a fucking mess. That doesn't. Nor does it explain. And once again, another studio that got hit quite precipitously is Obsidian Entertainment. Apparently, they've lost a quarter of their staff. Once again, that's due to where they are. Because they haven't, they were working on apparently a sequel to Avowed. But I'm gonna bet that wasn't far along into development. Otherwise, they would have shown it off. I don't know how far along it was, but I'm pretty confident in saying that Avowed 2 was not far along enough to Microsoft's satisfaction here. So you put that aside, what are they working on? Some DLC packs for Grounded 2, and they got 2 DLC for Outer Worlds 2, which are not going to require the staff of a full game. And outside of the layoffs, I'm probably going to go against the grain here because, all of the commentary, all of the, social media posting, quite rightfully is, going fuck Microsoft. But I'm going to go against the grain here, and I'm going to say that Microsoft is making a proper fucking call here. Making the right call, because you know what Microsoft is forcing Obsidian to do? They're going to be working on a Fallout title. Like, okay, there's no way to, I don't think even the worker evangelists of the highest order can really justify the lack of a new Fallout title or the lack of a new Elder Scrolls.
Well, Elder Scrolls 6 has been in development, but it's been in development hell, unfortunately.
I don't know about development hell, but okay. The main Bethesda studio was working on Starfield for a very long time.
And God.
This was supposed to be the next big thing here.
Yeah, it was supposed to be their third tentpole, and it crashed and burned.
Yeah, to the point where, clear, Microsoft does not list it among the top franchises that they own right now. But my point is, there's been no Elder Scrolls title since Skyrim in 2012. There's been no Fallout title since what, 2016?
I don't remember when.
In spite of having announced a sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And apparently Microsoft is they're very pissed that there is no Fallout game to tie in with the current Fallout show.
Mhm. To be fair, I don't think they were expecting the Fallout show to be this big.
Probably, but this is actually something I complained about with the Castlevania show some years back when it premiered, and Konami just had nothing for that release
Right.
to take advantage of that. At the very least, there was a re-release of Fallout 4, I think.
They've been
Yeah,
adding, from what I've heard, they've been adding some of the lore stuff from the show into 76
yeah,
as kind of
but
nods to it, but that's only for people who like Fallout 76, unfortunately.
yeah, it's and now I've reached the point where I have to turn against the lamenters a bit because they're now wailing about the death of creativity. Microsoft's they're going back to just being Halo and Forza and Gears again, and whining and crying, and I'm like, guys, Microsoft has been making arty experimental games. It has been taking big risks for a while now. That was one of the benefits of the Game Pass initiative.
Mhm.
They all sold like shit, and they didn't gain anything from Game Pass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Game Pass was doing well until they did the massive price jump, and a shit ton of people jumped ship.
Well, here's the thing. It's a matter of expectations,
Oh, yeah.
literally. Not according to Microsoft's expectation.
Yeah.
We have learned what Game Pass's subscriptions actually are versus what Microsoft wanted them to be.
Mhm.
Microsoft wanted Game Pass to have 77 million subscribers. It has 30. No, it has 26 million subscribers
Mhm.
because 4 million subscribers quit over the price jump.
But also, that's insane.
Right.
Yes. I don't know if you've noticed, but Microsoft executives are fucking insane.
Yeah.
Because, okay, we got the new lady saying she wants 1 billion eyes on Microsoft's products a day.
Never mind that not even 1 billion, not just Xbox Series, but Xbox devices have been sold.
Okay, so there's a bit of a quote unquote cheat here because that's remember what Microsoft owned. They do have a game that reaches 200 million MAU daily.
Oh, Candy Crush.
Yes. Minecraft is actually lower than I would have expected because apparently that tops off at about 50 million.
Mm.
Still, even if you put those two games together, that's only a quarter of the way there.
Mhm.
This comment has been oh so rightfully mocked.
Right.
Anyway, getting back to the just focusing on the big hits. Well, yeah, because
Hi, welcome to business.
yeah, I know you want the entirety of the world to be run like your artist collective, but unfortunately, Microsoft kind of just did that. And as Petty Fan mentioned previously, but they were losing 67 cents to every dollar invested.
Mhm. That's closure numbers.
And what have we been seeing?
Mhm.
Like like, people just kind of ignore the fact that Microsoft themselves are saying the Xbox business is not healthy.
Yeah.
It's not like they are using terms like this isn't sustainable. This cannot continue.
Like
Like,
people are just looking at like the regular number that like Microsoft themselves and Xbox raked in, and it's like that's all fine and all, but when you're losing like 60 some odd percent for every dollar invested, you're gonna burn through that very quickly.
yeah, and you got to understand that Microsoft is like, this is a bit more reading between the lines,
Mm-hmm.
but Microsoft is kind of done with the loss leader here.
Yeah, part of that is just the fucked hardware economy we're in.
Yeah.
Because
So
they used to be able to. I think the average loss on an Xbox before was somewhere in the range of like under $50.
yeah,
That's fine. Now with the current hardware market, if they kept the prices the same, they'd be losing like almost $200 because of how screwed
yeah,
the hardware market is right now.
yeah.
So like as much as I hate the price increases, unfortunately I get it because the AI bubble has to burst
Yeah,
because they're eating
it's
all of the hardware.
yeah, which is partially the larger Microsoft's fault.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the point is, apparently, like, they're looking at focusing on Halo, Forza, Gears of War. It's interesting that they mention Halo and Gears of War because I don't know how big those franchises are. Like,
Yeah, like if
like
this was
we have talked.
Bungie era Halo, hell yes.
Yeah. Well, there'd be no
343
question.
era Halo hasn't had a good
Yeah,
game yet.
even early 343 era Halo was still, tops in terms of sales.
Hmm.
We're talking, it's Halo Infinite that, really did the damage.
Mm-hmm. It was supposed to be their evergreen Halo title, and it fell off in 4 months.
I don't know, but it definitely fell off. I'm like, you know, Gears of War, like, honestly, Gears of War kind of, how do I put this? It kind of peaked in the 360 era.
It
Like, yeah,
really did. I don't
absolutely. Like,
even. Did they even have one in the Xbox One era?
they did. I think that they had a couple. Like, there was Gears of War 4 and Gears of, like, War 1 Ultimate Edition or something like that.
Hmm.
And then there was the goofy Gears era.
Yeah.
When they called Gears of War Gears, uh, because they wanted to lure in a younger demographic.
Right.
It was really dumb and didn't do anything. I guess we'll see how E8. Like, apparently Microsoft thinks Gears of War is big enough to sell exclusively.
We will see.
And once again, and no, Microsoft has not gotten rid of all original IP.
Mm-hmm.
Like, keep in mind, the other exclusive game to Xbox is Clockwork Revolution. The big game out of In Exile.
Mm-hmm. They still have Forza. Well, Forza Horizon, but still Forza.
It's still Forza. Like, and yeah, Forza Horizon has done absolutely big business. But adding to that, they have named Fallout, not surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
Elder Scrolls, not surprisingly.
Yeah.
but also the id trilogy among their top franchises, i.e., Wolfenstein, Doom, and Quake. Quake is the one that interests me
Mm-hmm.
because, okay, we all know the lineage and the lore and the everything about in the 90s. Now, here's the fact of the matter: Quake hasn't been relevant in decades.
Yeah, I was about to say I haven't seen anything new from Quake in almost 20 years.
Not that long, but that's okay. The last single player Quake game was in 2005, Quake 4. But the last Quake product was Quake Live, Quake Champion. That not good free to play thing, which was still 15 years ago. The point is, like, Quake has not seen any new products, though apparently Quake Champions was still being kept alive. Like some of the people who got laid off at id worked on Quake Champions. I genuinely didn't know this.
I didn't know Quake Champions still existed. Like I heard of it,
Yeah,
but I didn't know it was still around.
neither did I, but apparently it is, or at least it was. My point is, I think if id is being retrofitted anywhere, it's to do a new Quake product.
Yeah, that's probably where they're trying to slim it down to.
Yeah,
'Cause, like, Doom
because
did
okay,
all right numbers.
Doom has done all right, but also they've released 3 Doom
Yeah,
titles.
that's why I think they're Microsoft's gently nudging them with a ball peen hammer to give Quake a go on the rodeo.
Yeah, and Wolfenstein was handled by Machine Game,
Yeah.
who I will note have not been touched
Um,
so far.
I can't even remember the last Wolfenstein game. Maybe New Blood
No,
or Young Blood or whatever.
nope.
Hmm.
It was like the one with the twin.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't remember if it was New Blood or Young Blood, but it was
Yeah,
something like that.
Youngblood.
Yeah.
Either Youngblood or was it Cyberpilot?
I I don't remember. I saw it on a shelf and was like, "Hey, cool Wolfenstein," but never had a
Yeah.
chance to pick it up.
Okay. Yeah, it was Youngblood and Cyberpilot. They were both 2019 games. Cyberpilot's the VR one, by the way.
Mm.
Point is, it hasn't been that long. And also, like, clearly, Machine Games is still seen as valuable enough to, or like, they could be working on the Quake game. Like, genuinely don't know.
Well,
Like, I
we're
just know that they,
not gonna know this one because again, incubation
yeah.
phase.
Well, not necessarily. I don't think they were in the incubation phase. Otherwise, there would have been reports of being put into consultation, or something would have indicated job losses. Like, anyway, and one of the more curious maneuvers, like almost invisible in the face of everything else, is elevation.
Oh.
Like, so, yeah. Well, two, I don't know, divisions, developers have been elevated to the level of Activision, Bethesda, and Xbox. And that is Mojang and King.
Ah.
That is to say, they used to be they reported to Activision and Xbox management. Now they reported directly to Asha. Or, am I pronouncing that right?
I can never get her name right, unfortunately. Not a knock
Yeah.
against her. I'm just very bad with the region her name is from, let's put it that way.
Right. Um,
My English tongue doesn't do it very well.
I know, and I understand that all too well. You know, like apparently she is very interested in making, like growing these as platform. Probably seeing them as competitors to Roblox and the like.
I can see
Yeah.
that with Minecraft.
I mean, it's certainly a thing that the nephews and niece will not stop talking about.
Hmm.
So they are still played. They are still very beloved. Just they're not as quite as popular as Roblox. Oh, and it's Asha. Yeah. Anyway, I guess we'll see how those plans will meet out. But it's also like the only Activision maneuver that they did right now,
Right.
because I think that might be because the last time they did the job cuts, it was Activision that got hit particularly hard.
Well, and I guess another sub maneuver they did before the layoffs is Call of Duty is not coming to Game Pass anymore. Well, at least a year after release.
I'm talking about here now.
Well, yeah,
Like
but
Call of
that's like
Duty, yeah.
that was the big, like, I guess might be the big quote unquote Activision maneuver, at least for now, is just hopefully trying to get more people to specifically buy Call of Duty instead of just paying for Game Pass for it.
Yeah.
And then it might have to wait till after that pans out to see what they're going to do with Activision. If sales are good, even with it not having to rely on Game Pass to get player numbers, there might not be any adjustments to Activision. If sales are down, there may have to be more adjustments to Activision. They need to wait till Call of Duty comes out.
Yeah. It's just another thing I picked up in the letter is Microsoft. They do seem happy with their Activision investment. Not hard to see why, because Activision is has got all the Call of Duty, Candy Crush, all of the Blizzard franchises. It's making money. Minecraft is making money. Bethesda and Xbox are seemingly not. Does this mean that the entire Xbox brand will be disassociated? Maybe in time, but I don't think that's a immediate.
Hopefully, these
Otherwise,
cuts can stem the bleeding and some reorganization where they're actually going to use internal talent instead of making each studio find more talent.
well, in those cases, also a lot of contract work. Microsoft used a fuck ton of contracts due to various employment practices. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's about it for now. But I do have to say for now because
Yes.
this is going to be rolling through for a year.
I was about to say, there's a very real possibility we could be coming back to this when we come back on air in August. We don't know.
Yeah. Nobody knows except for those who are implementing it, which is a very depressing thought.
Yep.
And yeah, so with that, we have reached the end of another episode, another season of Fragments of Silicon. As previously noted, regular show recordings will be off until the end of July. Because if I can pull it up here, like the actual return, like the proper Wednesday is August 5th. Okay, so yeah, we are returning in August, including the Sunday review.
I guess for anybody who wants me, Gullix, and Ogre's crazy antics, I will be trying to do some of the Friday
Yeah.
shows. This Friday we should be getting together to finally start Sonic Unleashed.
Yeah.
I do
And
need to make a
oh
graphic
yeah,
for that.
and the first Sunday review is on my birthday.
Oh man.
Anyway, so coming up on August 5th, we'll be welcoming Catherine Mungio. Yeah, one of his names I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce. This comes out often. Of Lofty Sky Entertainment. So look forward to that. And we will start out the season 24 with reviews of Elemental, Flesh Made Fear, The Goblins. Okay, I don't know how many eyes I'm supposed Goblin. Like I can't shout that out. The Goblins collection and Pay to Win. The World Is Mine. So look forward to that in August. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit notification bells both here and on YouTube. And until August, I shall wish you good gaming.